Here to discuss it with us now is Don Brown. He's a former Navy JAG officer. Don, good to see you. Tell us about the significance of all this and the legal implications. We know the United States has kind of raced in and issued this $20 billion, reinsurance program. But just tell us how this is all playing out.
Let's start with geography to understand this geostrategic importance of the Straits of Hormuz. Straits of Hormuz separate the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf. And the Omani Peninsula juts up into the strait and is approximately 21 miles across that strait to the southern shore of Iran, about 21 miles. The shipping lanes are very narrow. In fact, 6 miles altogether, with ships going east-west having a 2-mile lane. There's a 2-mile buffer, and vice versa for west to east. It's a very narrow and treacherous strait. And the Iranians have, of course, used drones to attack vessels there. And because 20% of the world's oil supply flows through there, including a lot of oil going to China, any instability or perceived instability of those straits will cause prices to jump, which is one of the reasons we've seen a short-term spike, in my judgment, of gasoline prices. The real problem here, and potential problem, our military has executed with devastating effectiveness to basically decapitate the Iranian military. They've got no navy, their ships are at the bottom of the sea, they've got no air force. But the danger is that they can use cheap weapons to destabilize the straits. In 1986, the USS Samuel B. Roberts hit a mine that the Iranians put in there, nearly sunk the ship. We were doing escort duty at that time. Now, the president has offered to use U.S. Navy frigates and destroyers to accompany oil tankers through there. We've just found out that oil tankers transiting the straits are now turning off their transponders to make it more difficult for the Iranians to find them. But the Iranians can still strike with cheap weapons, and that's what we really got to be careful about, Alexandria, in my judgment. With
the U.S. bringing this $20 billion insurance policy, I guess you could say, to oil tankers in the Strait, is this a global realignment of sorts, with Lloyd's essentially dropping their coverage? They've been insuring the Strait for, 300 years or so?
They have. And the president's actions in foreign policy, the Democrats don't like them. The fact of the matter is there's a global realignment back toward the United States, starting with what you and I have talked about, the Monroe or the Donroe Doctrine with Venezuela, and Cuba probably will fall as well. But this is a significant blow to communist China, and I think that you're going to see that the United States is stepping up and protecting these oil tankers, which are flagged under many different states. There are many, many, many nations that are dependent upon oil from the Gulf, even though, thank goodness, we're only at 3%. But is going to certainly, it's the beginning of a realignment back to where the alignment should be, and I'm very, very optimistic about that.
Yeah, and the president saying on Truth Social that reopening, or I guess, getting the Strait of Hormuz up to 100% capacity again, that is mostly a quote-unquote gift to China. How is this going to affect his leverage in his upcoming trip to China at the end of this month?
It's a very good question. China is the largest oil consumer in the world, and they're heavily dependent on Iran. And under the former arrangement, they didn't have to use dollars to get that cheap Iranian oil. Now they will. So it will increase our economic leverage against China tremendously. I saw, whether it's coincidental or not, that in the last few days, the Chinese have cut down on their military aerial exercises in the Straits of Taiwan. And someone said it might be because they're now having an oil crunch as a result of this. They're having to recalibrate. But it's nothing but positive momentum for the United States of America. And the president doesn't want a war with China, but he certainly doesn't like the idea, neither do I, neither do many of us, of this silk road, this Belt Road strategy that Xi has brought about, where they're trying to dominate the world economically. And again, this is a win for the good guys.
Well, Don Brown, former Navy JAG officer, thank you so much for your thoughts today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure as always, Alexandria. Thank you.